Hi, so today I'm going to be showing you one way of planning out and drawing a hand-drawn sticker. Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So there are very many ways to hand draw a sticker. I'm going to show you one way because a very specific thing that I needed to do. So my son decided that he wanted to commission me to draw him a hand-drawn sticker, and he was very specific about what he wanted. And I thought it would be fun, so I decided to do it. And so he told me what he wanted. He told me he wanted a skateboarding skeleton wearing a World War II army hat, army helmet, and he had to have X's for eyes. Okay, so that was the whole description. So I came up with a few designs, or I started working on it, and so I did some sketches and I started working out the design for the sticker, and then I eventually came up with this drawing here. So the next thing I needed to do was make the sticker. So now that I was happy with my initial drawing, the idea here is then I'm going to try to transfer this drawing that I did in my sketchbook. I did a whole process, like I said. I spent a while trying to plan it out. I came up with this. I decided to stick with it. And then it's time to do the sticker. So for the sticker, I'm going to be using multi-purpose labels that I got at the Office Depot, I guess, here. So these are 2x4 labels. So the idea here, you could get any kind of labels that you want, any size you want. I just wanted some that were about so big, right? So now I gotta somehow get my my drawing on here, and I don't want to print it. I want to draw it on here. I want it to be hand drawn in the end. So the way that I was thinking of doing that is to scan this drawing and then to shrink it down and then print it out on a regular sheet of paper. And then I'm going to use a light box, trace over my drawing, and then re-ink it, redraw it onto the label paper. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So the very first thing I got to do is shrink the image. So I have Clip Studio Paint open, and I'm going to start a new file. I'm going to open a new file here, and I am going to make this. Usually my standard is 11 by 17. I always do that. I even have a little thing here that says 11 by 17. But this label, these labels are 2 by 4, so I'm going to go 2 by 4, and that's the size of the label. It seems weird. They're very long. Two by 4. Does that look right to you? I don't know. Okay, well, I'll just keep it that way, even though it looks weird. And then I'm going to bring in my drawing. And my drawing doesn't have to be perfect. So now I've imported my drawing into the file. It's huge, so I'm going to shrink it down, and I'm going to try to make it fit. And that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. So that means that it's gonna be about this tiny, this thing. It's gonna be very, very tiny. It's gonna be about that big. I suppose that's correct. What happens if I let me see something. 4 by 2. I'm going to copy and paste it on here. It's going to be even smaller. Or is it? Yeah, it's going to be smaller. So this is the best I could do. All right. So we're done. So now all I got to do is save it and print. So let's get started on that. Let's save it. Let's see. Skater ton sticker. And now let's print it. All right, so I printed it out. It looks like this. Very, very tiny. But after I checked it, it looks like it fits. It looks like it fits in here. I think it'll fit. It'll just barely fit. It's gonna be tight squeeze. But it'll work. So the next thing I got to do is I got to transfer my drawing. I got to trace my drawing onto this sheet of paper, onto this sticker paper. So the idea of tracing this is that I'm going to do a sloppy job tracing it because I don't have to be perfect. But once I'm done doing that, then I'm going to hand ink it. And then I'll have the final sticker. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm getting my recording setup ready so that I could show you how I'm going to transfer or trace over this drawing. So one of the first things I got to show you is that I'm going to be using this light box here to trace over this drawing. So it's an old light box that my dad kind of had laying around. I have another one that I built myself when I was in high school. You could buy light boxes at I'll put a link to any light boxes I could find on Amazon in the description of this video. All the stuff that I'm going to be using can be found in the description of this video if you're interested. So the idea is that the light comes through and then you can just trace over your drawing, right? If you don't have a light box or you don't want to spend any money because you know you're not going to be using a light box, you could also use a window. You could put it on a window during the daytime and it works like a light box. So it's not that big a deal. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to set the camera up so I can show you how it's done in a second. All right, so here is the sticker sheet here. I'm trying to set it up. So what I'm going to do, I have this Scotch removable tape. It has very little tack. You can put it in and then remove it without it ripping anything. It's very useful for keeping things down when you're working on stuff. Something that we used when at the Simpsons studio all the time to keep things from moving around. So I'm putting some removable tape here to keep this, so this sheet of paper is moving, but now the sticker won't come off. And it's very useful just to keep things in place while you work on it. So that is, again, Scotch removable tape. I'll see if I can put a description of this in the description of the, I mean, a link to this in the description of this video. And then the rest should be pretty easy. All I got to do is trace over this thing. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to be using a 0.3 mechanical pencil because the drawing is going to be very thin, very tiny. I'm going to just use this really tiny lead. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to have it be good enough because I'm going to be inking over it. The other thing about this is that I have this final drawing as my guide, so I know what I'm going to want to have it look like in the final drawing. Now, of course, the tricky part, because this thing is so tiny, is getting a small enough pen to ink it with. My preferred method of inking is with a brush, but unless I'm using a tiny itty bitty micro brush, it's not gonna be any good. It's not gonna help. So I'm gonna end up using as small a micron as I could find. I'm trying to see what I drew here. There's some tiny details. So just wanted to point this out. A lot of the time when we're talking about drawing, tracing gets a bad rap. You're a tracer. Well, look what I'm tracing right now. I'm tracing my own drawing, but I'm tracing. So it's not like tracing is an evil skill to have. You may have to trace your own drawing someday. Copying is also not a bad skill to have. Because you'll have to copy your own character design someday. This guy's got so many tiny little details. Okay, so this is got way too too many little details, so I'm going to have to simplify it even more than I have here. I'm going to have to make a creative decision on my own drawing here, especially in the rib cage. Maybe I'll just do that. Whoops. Forgot his bottom, the bottom of his mouth. I keep lifting it because I'm looking underneath to see my the details of my own drawing. So one of the things I'm going to absolutely have to do is I'm going to have to take a look at my final drawing on my sketchbook while I'm finishing up this little one, just to make sure I got the details right. Okay, so there you go. So this is one way of transferring a drawing onto your sticker paper. If you want to have your own sticker without having to do this, you could just draw directly onto the sticker paper and it won't be that big a deal. You don't have to plan it out on your sketchbook. You don't have to do all of that stuff. But if you want to have a very specific drawing on your sticker and you want to plan it out, this is one way of doing it. Just draw it on your sketchbook, shrink it down, and then trace over it. So now it's time to go to the next step, which is going to be inking. All right, so let's get started. I just wanted to show you the tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a Micron 005, which is really tiny tip. I'll put a link to the description of this video. I'm also going to use a Pentel brush pen to do all the blacks. And I may or may not, like if I want to, I could have used this Crow Quill dip pen and it should do the trick as well. It's very fine and it should give me a very fine line, but I think I'm going to stick to only the Micron today. Just because I don't feel like taking out the ink and doing the whole dip pen thing. I think it's really fun to do, but right now it's unnecessary. Now the camera's so close to the drawing that it's in the way, but it's the only way that you could actually you could actually see what I'm doing. Look at how fat and gigantic my fingers are. This is how tiny this thing is. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time around than I was when I was doing the tracing, because this is the final line. Unfortunately, this Micron is running out of ink. I didn't realize that. I may need to go back to the Crow Quill if it runs out of ink. That's a problem with the Microns, is that they eventually run out of ink. Now I'm turning the sheet of paper around so it could go with the natural so our hand, the natural pivot of our hand. So our hands have a natural curvature, natural pivot. When we go against it, it makes things much more difficult. So what you want to do is you want to turn the sheet to make it as easy on yourself as possible, so that all your strokes go with the natural pivot your hand's it tends to move. Now these areas are going to be black, so they don't have to be perfect. These areas here are going to be white, so they should be a little bit more precise. I think I bumped the camera there. Now the trick will be not, when I put the black, not to color or put the black too far outside the lines here. Like I could really mess all of this up when I put the main black in. Because this is so tiny. Fortunately for me, looks like the Micron will have enough ink. And I just made a different choice in my ink from the pencil line, and I'm actually making adjustments in my final line to this. I'm not following my pencil line perfectly. Looks like I did, I think this is in the original. I'm looking at my original drawing, and I don't think this tangent existed in the original because of there was something else going on here. I don't know if you could see it. You can't see what I'm doing, dang it. Okay, so I did the final lines here. And now I'm going to add the black. So this is going to be one of the trickier parts. But it should start making the drawing come to life. Just be very careful. So this Pentel brush pen is one of my favorites, and I've bought other Pentel brush pens that don't work as well as this one. If I ever lose this one, or this one finally gives out somehow, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I haven't found a brush pen, a Pentel brush pen that works as well as this one. It's It's extremely precise. Now, you can use another micron to darken this stuff in. I just find it faster to use a brush. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with another micron, and I'm going to add a little bit of thickness. Now I could do this with a brush pen, but I won't because it's just too small. So I'm going to go with a, oh no, this is too fat, 0.1. A 0.1, which is the second smallest. And what I want to do here is I'm going to just add a little bit of thickness. Oh, and here's a little bit of black. But a little bit of thickness to the bottom sides of stuff and to little areas where I think a little bit of a thicker line would help. And make it prettier. So a thickness on the bottom of stuff, what it does is it, oops, I forgot this black. A thickness on the bottom of stuff, what it does is it makes it feel like something is turning. It's like you're looking down at something. It'll have a little bit of a darker shadow because it's being lit from the top. So if you add a little bit of thickness on the bottom of stuff, it actually makes it have a feeling, slightly a feeling of depth. But also, I just noticed something. Oh, this needs to be very straight this way. I just noticed something, and that is, if I was to do a thicker outline throughout the whole thing, it would actually make this whole thing a little bit sharper and nicer. So I'll just do a thick exterior outline to make it look a little bit more graphic. Keep the lines inside thin. and the exterior line's thick, it gives it a very sticker look. Also, it pulls out the silhouette. There we go. Probably add a little bit of black in here. Let's see what happens if we start erasing the pencil line. Make sure everything is dry. I want to get rid of the pencil lines so I could see what the fine lines look like. And they're looking pretty good. Okay, the only thing that I do not like right now is the separation of the bottom of the chin and the rib cage. You can't really see it. There you go. And I think I can probably thicken and make a little bit of a darker line around the teeth. And I think that's it. I'll just put my name on it. And so this is the sticker. This is what it looks like. It's like that. Maybe I'll cut the top and the bottom and have it be a little square. But that's it. And so here we are. So we went from sketching out the drawing to having a prototype in my sketchbook, which I scanned. Then I printed out a copy and I traced it onto a sticker paper, and then I inked it on the sticker paper. So this is what the final looks like. And like I said, I'll probably trim the top and the bottom, but we have the sticker right here. So that's only one way of doing it. You don't have to go through the process of printing it and inking, printing it, sketching it out in your sketchbook, and then scanning it and shrinking it and printing it and tracing it and then inking. What you can do is just use the sticker sheet as a regular sheet of paper and just draw whatever the heck you want and then ink that. It's a little bit less controlled that way. It's a little, but that's just as well. That's just as fun. I've done it myself. It's just that this was such a specific drawing that I needed to do that I decided to take it and do a little bit more of a process, a little bit more of a design, draw the prototype, all that stuff. But this turned out really, really cool. I like the way it turned out. So I can't wait to show my son what it looks like. But I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about this. All the description, all the links to the supplies that I used is in the description of this video. Thank you for your support. You can support me on Patreon if you want. The link is in the description of this video as well. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye. So I'm happy to announce that I now have a new drawing lesson called Drafu Guide to Sketching and Gesture Foundations. It's the beginning of the level 2 information that people have been asking me for the drawing website, which will teach you where to start drawing, what to draw when you draw, how to draw from observation, how to draw from imagination, how to draw what you envision, and how to discover what you ought to envision if you don't have anything specific in mind. So if you find any of this interesting, you could follow the link that you see, or you can go to thedrawingwebsite.com, look under level 2, and you'll find a link there.